Thank you very much. It's really good to be on a flying visit to Ireland. I'm really enjoying it. Although I have to say, being up here explaining care farming is probably more daunting than actually setting up a care farm. But I'll give it a go. I've been asked to try and speed things up. In order to do that, what I've done, I did have some slides. And what we've got is them running in the background. So that'll enable you to just sort of help visualise the care farm that's at the Mill Care Farm. At lunch, someone said to me, well, what do you know about farming? Have you ever been a farmer? And the answer is, yes, once in 1970. I actually had a degree in applied biology specialising in crop protection, but that was the last time I ever used it. And I don't even use farming skills now with the care farm. As was said during the introduction, I was doing some consultancy work for... So I was doing some consultancy work for social enterprises when I met a lady called Rosemary Hooper. Rosemary explained to me that she had this idea. She got a small farm, Acton Mill Farm, 21 acres. She wanted to set up a care farm. Now, I've got a disabled daughter, and she wanted to set the farm up for disabled people. So I thought, well, that sounds really interesting. I'll pop along for a few hours and see if I can give you some help with this. And to cut a long story short, I've been there for the past 4 years helping out. When I got to the farm, it was the situation was a bit of a sort of business analyst nightmare, really. I mean, it was a small farm, 21 acres, a few animals. Rosemary was divorced from her husband, was in a position where, in order to stay on the farm, she had to buy half the farm. Now, those of you who know about UK farm prices will know that's a pretty hefty mortgage that you've got to service to do that. And a few sheep and other animals is not going to do it. And she was looking to me to solve this. We'll set up a care farm and it'll help solve the problem. And now, with sort of the benefit of hindsight, it did, but it wasn't at all clear it would at the time. The solution that I proposed in that situation was to create a company limited by guarantee, a sort of not-for-profit company. And then the company took over the complete running of the farm. So we took over the farm. She still lived there, she still owned it, but all the management and running of the farm was done by the company. The company, in exchange for having that free run of the farm, paid Rosemary a rental, an all-inclusive rental. So by getting that all-inclusive rental, that helped with her debt repayments. That helped that problem. We then went on to hire Matt, her son, and so we put him on a payroll of the company. So Matt had an income. That allowed him and his partner then to buy the mill house on the farm. And again, that reduced the debt burden. And we started to get the finances straightened out. We also derived some lesser benefits because we are we've got charitable objectives. We reduce the business rates, so we don't pay business rates. And because we're educational, we're exempt from VAT, so we don't have to charge VAT. We haven't done much where we would be able to reclaim, so it suits that situation. So, plus being charitable, we also get people donating things to us, and we're eligible to apply for grants. So we sort of got the thing on a sustainable footing. So that's how it evolved. I was asked to address some of the challenges of becoming a care farm or a care farmer. The challenges really are no different to any other business. You've got to have, if you're going to go into it as a business proposition, then you've got to have a business plan. You've got to work out how you're going to do this. How many clients are you going to take on? How many staff are you going to need? What's it all going to cost? How are you marketing it? And all the things that would go into a normal business plan. It's fairly easy to write a theoretical business plan. I find that quite easy. The difficult part is knowing whether or not that's actually going to work in practice. And certainly at the time, Rosemary's accountant didn't think it would work in practice. I mean, as it happened, it did work, but it's quite scary at the outset when you're in that situation. The other thing that the other challenge there, of course, is we have very little room for manoeuvre. Because of the debt situation, we couldn't try many things before the bank would want to reclaim the property. So what I would say is, unless if you're going to do this sort of thing, if you're going to do care farming, it might be fine if you're in a fairly relaxed situation, your farm is doing well. That's fine, but and you could just test it out, and you can try it out, and you can perhaps try again. If your farm is in difficulty, as this one was, then you really do need to plan out how you're going to do it. The other question I was asked was, what assisted you in developing care farming? The first thing about this farm was when I approached it. When I went to it, I got a good first impression. It was picturesque. I've got a disabled daughter, and my question in my mind is, would I bring my daughter to this place? Would she enjoy coming here? And I think that's something to bear in mind. I've been asked to provide advice to 2 or 3 other farms, and 1 or 2 of them I've been to the gate, and I thought, my gosh, I wouldn't want to bring anyone into this farm. You know, it's so unsightly. So I think that's something to bear in mind. You know, what does your farm look like? Would it fit the bill? The other thing that assisted us was that the previous owners of the farm had done some investment. This is an old farm. It dates back 160 years. But it does have a very good barn. It might feature in some of the slides there. We've got a very big barn. We've got a 17 stable block. So there were some buildings that we could utilise. So it wasn't a dead loss. We could do something. The other thing that was an advantage was that Rosemary, the farm owner, previously, with her husband, they'd run a care home. So she got experience of dealing with people with disabilities. And she'd actually brought 3 of her care home residents to live on the farm. They lived in a converted barn. So what we had there was 3 potential clients for the care farm. Now, we're not allowed just to steal clients. They've got their own independent advisors. So we had to go through the proper channels. The independent advisors sat down with the 3 tenants to see whether they'd actually want to do it. And that was all done independently. And fortunately for us, they said they would like to spend a day or 2 at the care farm. So that was good. So we had these users on site. What with Rosemary's experience in care homes and my experience of a disabled daughter, we had quite a lot of practical experience of dealing with people with disabilities. And I think that's important with care farms. Someone asked me earlier about medical qualifications and so on. I don't think that's necessary for care farming. What you do have to have, though, is experience of dealing with people with disabilities and be able to handle that in a day-to-day situation. The other thing that we got, we've got Care Farming West Midlands, so we did get some advice both from the regional body and from other care farms. Other care farms helped us out. They came along to meetings and helped us to get going. Now, on the face of it, there's competition. You know, if you've got several care farms in an area, they're competing. But in practice, what happens is that different care farms end up with different specialisms. Some might be doing horticulture, some animals. So they all have their own different characteristics, and some people may like one as opposed to the other. Some people might go to one day and the other another day. So you get that situation. The other thing is that's critical is travel time, travel distance. In our experience, people are not going to travel more than about 30 to 45 minutes travelling time. So you can easily draw a radius and say these are where people are going to come from. So if there's another care farm just outside that, chances are they may not even pick up your potential clients. The other thing that was double-edged, really, and Rosemary was in a very difficult position. But she was also in a make-or-break situation. And when you're in that make-or-break situation, then Rosemary and her son and family were all really behind this. They really put their heart and soul into making it work. And I think that's where they scored over perhaps someone who was less committed to doing doing a care farm. The other thing that assisted us, and I think it sort of harks back to some of the presentations this morning, was that we started out with Rosemary's 3 tenants. A couple of other people joined in, and their feedback was really positive. It was rather like this morning. They really enjoyed being there. It was something they enjoyed doing. And so when you get that feedback, you think, well, I'm on the right track, and there may be others that will benefit. I'm working through my list of questions that were addressed to me when I agreed to do this little talk, and it's the other question that I was asked to address was our relationship with people, in brackets clients, who come to the farm, and the service agencies. Now, what we try to do on our farm is create this family-friendly atmosphere. I'm not going to sort of go over all of that again because I think it was really well covered this morning. But we have a whole range of people who come to the farm and who enjoy coming to the farm. We've got clients, and I'll tell you a bit more about the clients that come, but we also have their carers and their families and friends. They all come to the farm. Local businesses support us in a variety of ways. And even Lloyds Bank likes us. They've just nominated us for a sort of a community award, a grant. So, we're doing quite well on our relation. I think our relations with other, with everyone outside the farm is pretty good. Now, the clients who come to the farm, we've actually tried to get a cross section of clients. Again, to avoid the situation where you're over-reliant on one client or one client group, which can easily, if that fails, then your enterprise can fail. The first and one of the major groups are individuals. Now, I think we may be ahead of you in the UK on this, because these individuals come to us and they pay for our services using their personal budgets. So what happens in the UK is that if you're disabled, the local authority determine what services you might need, but they don't provide those services. They give you the money to buy them. And so the care farm's got to be attractive. It's got to be attractive in the marketplace. But if you are attractive and it's something that people want to do, they can pay to come to your farm for the day. Now, I think I heard that touched upon earlier, but it sounds like that's some way away. And I'll have to say, a couple of years ago, we were going through a similar conversation that social services and others were very resistant to the idea that anyone should have personal control over their budgets. But they were forced into it, and it's certainly happening in quite a big way now. So we got those personal budgets. We were also fortunate in that we've linked up with a couple of care homes, and care homes are under pressure at the moment. They have to provide some sort of services during the day. They can't just leave people locked up in the care home. And so they've decided to use our farm as really a service for their residents. So those are very good clients. We have contracts with them, and they send a number of people to us. Another good client for us are schools. We started with school groups. These are young teenagers who have either been excluded from school or in danger of being excluded from school. So they're not easy to manage, but they are quite good contracts if you're looking at it from a business point of view. What the school started with was that they would come to us in a group. So we'd have a teacher, perhaps a couple of teaching assistants and a small group of youngsters, and they would come on the bus to us. And that's been expanded now. So we deal with 3 schools, and they've gone a step further now, and then we actually do one-to-one care of pupils. So we provide the transport. We go and pick someone up from school, bring them to the farm, look after them all day, and take them back to school. And those are quite good contracts. And if you're thinking of doing this as a business, then you can get a contract which pays termly or annually or whatever, and it's quite a good source of income. Social services, we have some small contracts with social services. We don't have major contracts because we're not really geared up to deal with the major contract. But we do get approached by social services quite regularly when they have someone who they don't quite know who to deal with, how to deal with them. They feel that they might benefit from being on the care farm, and they will come and say, well, can you give a price? Can they come? Can you pick them up? And, those sorts of arrangements. So we've got quite a spread. The only thing I'd say is some care farms in the UK and possibly in Ireland deal with people with drug and alcohol problems. We've decided that wouldn't mix with our current client group, so we don't do that. Inclusion in the community, well, we do a lot of inclusion. We use the farm as a sort of core for community activities, and we move out around the community. So we really get involved. We go local shows and things of that sort. We run a weekly disco. We take our clients on holidays. We take them swimming. We take them to the cinema. We take them to events. So we do a lot outside the community, and the community come to us as well. So particularly seasonal celebrations. I mean, our donkeys are very popular at Christmas for nativity scenes and so on. How is success measured? That was another one. Well, I think I've divided this up. The success part I've divided into 2 parts. I mean, obviously there's a business success. If we can't make a successful business out of this, then we go under, and that's the end of it. So we have to judge everything in business terms. But we are not for profit. So if we generate surplus, it gets ploughed back into the business. But we do have to run as a business. But I think the key thing, though, is in order to stay in business, we have to be seen to be delivering a service that people want. People have a choice. They can choose to come. They've got their personal budget. They've got to like us and want to use us to pay us. And so you really do have to be providing that service. So you have to gauge whether you're providing a service that people want. Repeat business is a good guide. Can I come 2 days instead of 1 day? 3 days instead of 2 days is good. What we do with all our clients is we prepare a report at the outset when they arrive, and we do 3 monthly reports thereafter. And what we try to do is assess whether or not we're giving any sort of benefit. And that can be all sorts of benefits. It can be better behaviour. It could be someone who doesn't talk starting to talk, someone who's antisocial becoming a little bit more social, perhaps not so aggressive. Maybe the parent or carer is finding them easier to handle in the evening. So it's really I think the success for us, success is tailored. Whether we've succeeded, that's tailored to each individual. The last topic that I'm going to deal with is what does the future hold? I was asked to do a bit of stargazing, future gazing here. What does the future hold? I mean, it's very difficult. It will change. It'll be different for different people. I would say for our business at the moment, I'm quite confident, and I may live to regret saying that, but I'm quite confident. I mean, strategically in the UK, there's quite a pressure to take money from pure health services and put them into more social-based services. So that the strategic trend is going in the right direction. We're experiencing a demand, an expanding demand for our services. People want to come more often. And although councils, local authorities are cutting their budgets, I thought that might be detrimental, but in fact it's the reverse. They're cutting budgets, but they're cutting services, and people are looking for alternative services, and they're coming to us, so that's good. And what we've experienced, I think we're on the right track at the moment. All the indications are that our business is on the right track. I think it was said earlier, we started with 4 or 5 people. I did a quick tot-up before I came here. Our register, we've got 65 people on the register as of last week. Now, they come in different days. Some come on one day, some 2, some 3, some 4, some come all week. So it's quite a good business. We had 21 acres. We are now up to 200 acres. We rent a lot of land. As a farm, we still wouldn't make our living. We certainly wouldn't pay all our staff with the farm we've got. But we use the 200 acres for feed, grazing for our sheep and so on. We do need the animals. And perhaps I ought to say, for us, it's the animals that are important. I'm sorry for anyone who's into arable farming or horticulture, but we do a bit of horticulture, and it's only the carers and parents who like the horticulture. They use the horticulture. It's a horticulture patch that they use it like allotments. It gets used rather like the allotments. But our clients, our service users, they would much rather be dealing with the animals. And with this slideshow in the background, you may well have seen some of the animals that we've got. We've got a whole menagerie of animals, and for the most part, I think, except for the sheep, they probably don't make us any money, but they're a great asset to a care farm. Right, I think that's just about finished. It was a bit of a run through, a bit of a garbled run through, because I was told to speed up, but I'm here for the rest of the day. So if anyone wants to talk in a bit more detail about anything, please come and see me. Thank you.